Hey everyone, what's going on out there? Hope you guys are doing well, as always. Wishing you the best. I want to talk to you today about the twin flame merge, the merging process, and what goes on, what happens, what takes place, what we may sense and see and feel, all of those things. And I'm also going to share some of my own personal experiences in my merging process with my twin and what I've seen in other true twin flames and their process of merging with their twins. And this is very interesting because this is not something that has been scientifically proven, obviously, and it probably never even will. And to be honest, I don't care because I know what I know. And I know what I feel and what I sense and what I see, what I experience. And it's a very real thing. It's very raw, very real. It's a phenomenon, and it's very delicate and sacred and very real. It's a very mysterious connection and very mysterious process. But it is very real nonetheless. And it's not always easy to put into words. A lot of these experiences don't even have words. So it's not easy to express or explain. And it's also not easy to understand for the average person. So not everybody is going to understand what we're going through because not everybody is a twin. So they cannot really grasp and understand any of this stuff, and they've never experienced it in any life, and they probably never even will. So not everybody is going to understand. But if you are a twin flame, chances are that you have been experiencing some of these things, or you've noticed them, or you are noticing them now, you're going through it now, or you will very soon. And before I get into it though, I just want to say when it comes to soulmates, soulmates do have they can have a deep, intimate spiritual connection. However, what makes us different, what separates us from soulmates, is that twin flames are the same energetic piece. We are the same energetic component. We are one and the same. There is no separation. One and the same. Whereas for soulmates, they each have their own individual energy. They are separate from each other. They have their own spiritual individualism, their individuality. So for twin flames, that's not the case for us. We are the same energy. And this is why it's so intense. And honestly, it can be a blessing and a curse a lot of the times. It seems that way. But this is why we are so connected with our twins, and doesn't matter how far away we are. We feel each other and we know what each other is going through. We can feel each other's thoughts, and that's because we are energetically connected, because we are that same energetic essence. So, when it comes to the merging process, I used to question this all the time. In the past, I would, I started doing my research, and this is before I got my downloads and before I was shown things. And I was always wondering, well, why do people talk about the merging process? I mean, aren't we already one? Aren't we already connected? So that always sort of confused me. But then I was shown many other things. So when it comes to the twin flames, we are already merged. Spiritually, we are one, so we are already merged in spirit. Now, our higher selves, which is our soul, we are the same. So there is a little bit of our twins in us, and there is a little bit of us in them. So essentially, our higher selves are merged, but we have our own individual guidance in each of our vessels separately. But technically, our higher selves are energetically merged, where we are transmitting that same spirit essence in between the two of us. However, we do have our own individuality in human form, and this is where the merging begins to occur. So when we actually incarnate into these human vessels, not only do we take up on the personality traits of, the family that we've been born into. A lot of these traits and tendencies are passed down through the lineage, through the DNA. But then we're also born onto this energetic orientation of the planetary alignments, which is astrology. And so we pick up on some of these traits, the traits of the stars. And so there's a mix of everything here, and there's a lot going on. So when we are actually in these bodies, we have subtle bodies, right? So we have the emotional body, the mental body, we have our auric field, we have, the psyche, we have different bodies. Then we have our chakras as well, which make up our physical. And so we have these subtle bodies. That's where the merging begins to take place, and it's unavoidable because being twin flames, if you are on the same plane, on the same dimension, the same level, because we are one in the same spirit, one in the same energy, it doesn't matter what we incarnate into, there is that magnetism there that begins to pull us towards each other, and that's where the intertwining begins to happen and the merging begins to happen. And a lot of things do take place during this time, during the merging process. I mean, we literally activate each other and begin to merge energetically with each other, where we will start picking up on each other's traits, each other's feelings, each other's even personality, the way we do things, the way we see the world, our perception, the way we talk, what we eat. All of these things begin to create a fusion of our spiritual essence and who we are in human form. This is really, really interesting because there are some twins that do look like one another, and some twins actually begin to to transform into looking like one another. There begins to be a resemblance the more you merge together. And see, what's happening is that we are actually pulling down our soul essence or higher selves into human form, and that is our essence. So we actually do begin to turn into each other. We begin to look like one another, and maybe not look like one another, but the essence is there. It resembles both twins. So, and that's because you're pulling that spirit, that soul essence into human form. You're integrating, so you do begin to resemble each other in so many ways. So some examples of this is that if you have been going through the merging for a little while, because honestly, as soon as we incarnate with our twins, the merging does happen. A lot of the times, from the time we're born, it begins to do its thing. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You may be on the other side of the world. The energies do begin to intertwine. They begin to merge, and it's quantum. So it doesn't matter how far away you are. That's what's crazy about it. But it begins to happen. It does occur. And a lot of the times, the more you merge and the closer you do come together, we do begin to change. So let's just say, I'll just give you a few examples here. It's going to be pretty random, but let's just say that your twin cannot have dairy. They're allergic to it. They have a certain reaction to it. As you continue to merge, you may pick up on that same allergy, where it'll affect you. Or let's say that, you begin to drink milk and your twin cannot have milk. It'll actually get them sick because of that energy that is being transmitted. It'll affect your twin. So also too, let's just say that your twin really likes a certain food that you've never even paid attention to before. As you merge, you may begin to also pick up on the same tastes, on the same food preferences. In my personal experience, I actually went through that myself, where for a time after I met my twin in the physical, and I merged, we merged even deeper for a period of about 4 months. As I was going through that stage in the merging process, I was eating chocolate like crazy. Like all day I was eating chocolate. And, I finally understood, and it was shown to me that it was because of the merging. I was picking up on what my twin likes, and I was indulging in it so much, and chocolate had never tasted so good to me in my entire life. I wasn't really a chocolate eater until that point. Also too, milk. I couldn't really drink milk anymore because it would make my stomach just really bad, and I just really couldn't have milk anymore. I didn't like yogurt as much anymore. I didn't like, sour cream, like any of these things that I didn't have a problem with in the past. I just naturally began to have this negative reaction to these things. And, well, what do you know? My twin has that same negative reaction to those things, or he doesn't like them. So this is really what'll happen. Also, too, I started to pick up different taste in music, where some songs that I didn't like, I began to like. Or, it's just little things like that. What started happening with me too is that after we met in the physical, and even before, I noticed that when I would look at myself in the mirror, I had some of his resemblance, and I began to pick up on his facial gestures, where, I don't know, I was doing the same facial expressions that he does, and it was just happening very naturally. I didn't understand why that was happening, why I would look a certain way or smirk a certain way, the way my twin does it. Also too, the way I stand and the way I walk. It does get very creepy, to be honest with you, because my sister noticed this as well, and she looked at me and she said, well, why do you stand like so-and-so? Why do you stand like him? And it really creeped me out, because I didn't know where it was coming from. It was just like I was just doing these things naturally. And she began to get creeped out because she noticed that I looked like my twin, and I was walking like my twin, and standing like my twin. And it was really, really strange, and she was just blown away, because she's like, you really do, have the same facial expressions, and you do a lot of the same things, he really is your twin. And so it's just really weird how these things happen, how we begin to become each other. And it goes both ways, where we began to pick up on some of their stuff, but they also began to pick up on some of our stuff. So if there is something that we used to love and they didn't like it before, they may start to actually acquire that taste. They may actually begin to like doing new things, or to just different things like that do begin to merge. The psyche begins to merge. We start to think about things and look at the world the same. We may begin to have the same opinions of certain things. This is where too the telepathy comes in to play with twins, where if somebody is at the store, one of the twins is at the store and the other one is at home, and let's just say the twin that's at home is really craving something and they didn't inform their twin about it, the twin will actually pick it up because they are feeling that. They'll have that same craving. And it's really, really interesting. And I just got a heart palpitation. It's just really, really interesting how this works. Also, too, when it comes to, this is why lovemaking between twins is so powerful as well, because it's mutual all the time, most of the time. It's mutual, where both of you will have the same sort of, compelling desire to engage in certain things or like do certain things. You'll know what each other likes, what each other should do, and how to. I mean, it's just so, I don't know, it's a phenomenon. It's just crazy. It's just like the molding of the energies. They are literally intertwining and merging to become one piece. And honestly, the merging does not stop. As long as you are both incarnated, it does not stop at this level. You continue to become like each other, more and more and more and more. And so the merging does not stop. It continues at this level, because, we are already merged on the higher level, on a soul level, and spiritually we are one. However, in these bodies, that's where the merging does take place, and we continue to become like each other. There is always this transfer of energy between the twins, always adjusting, always balancing, always recalibrating. So it goes on and on and on. It's continuous. So, the longer you're alive, the more you become like each other. So the more, the more you will notice little things like that. Like, oh my goodness, I'm really becoming like my twin. I'm like morphing. I'm like changing. What's going on? And that's because of the merge. And this is why a lot of the times we feel each other a lot, where if one of you is purging, you guys will feel it at the same time. It's in real time, literally. So let's just say you are overthinking, or you are really upset. Your twin will probably get a headache, or they will probably get sick to their stomach because you are worried too much. You are overthinking, so they'll get a headache. Or let's just say that you are out drinking a lot. Your twin will probably feel a hangover, and vice versa. Or if you are overindulging in food, your twin will probably, have a stomach ache or something like that. They will feel bloated without a reason. It's all that energetic transfer that takes place. And also, too, if you are upset, if you are crying, your twin will probably feel that ache in their heart. They'll feel something. Or if you are overly thinking again, not only will they get a headache, but their temples will start to vibrate and feel dense. A lot of the times, and this is a very common symptom of the merging process, is that when one of the twins is overthinking, or when they are going through an awakening or a dark night of the soul, our temples do they start feeling very dense. And that's because it's that the mental body is overly extended, overly active, and we will feel the effects of that. So, it is quite strange. Or let's say that one of the twins smokes, the other twin will probably feel it in their throat. They will probably feel their chest being compressed. That's really how it works. And it's so weird. It's the weirdest thing, And of course, some of us are more sensitive than others. So some of us will feel it even more. Some of us will feel things that maybe we don't want to feel, that's just how it is. Sorry about that, guys. I had to stop recording, but I'm back now, and it is 2:22. So what I was going to also mention was when it comes to also one of the twins being in a karmic relationship, or if they have someone siphoning off of their energy, the other twin on the other end will feel like they have, something on them. That their shoulder will feel really heavy, or you literally feel like you're carrying something on you. You'll just feel tired on one side of the body or something like that, but you'll have that added presence, and that's because your twin is going through that. They are siphoning off energy, or they are going through a heavy load with a karmic or with someone siphoning off energy. And you really do feel these things as a twin flame. So the more sensitive you are, of course, the more you're going to feel it. So there's a lot of things that do manifest due to that energetic transfer and the connection that we have with our twins. We feel everything. We feel a lot. So it's just crazy. So I've heard so many things from twins. There's twins that begin to talk like each other. They begin to laugh like one another. They begin to, the facial expressions. They begin to smell like one another. The way they sit, or their hair begins to change. I don't know. It's just a lot of things like that. The vocabulary, words that they never used, they began to all of a sudden use them. And see, I understand that with soulmates, or just people, when you hang around someone for too long, you may start to pick up on each other's habits, each other's way of doing things, like laughing, where maybe you're spending too much time with your best friend or with a soulmate, and then you begin to laugh like each other because you've been around each other for a long time. But that's not what I mean here. I mean twins who are not in contact, twins who don't see each other a lot, and then they finally meet, or they finally reunite, and then they already have acquired all of these same tendencies, all these same ways of doing things. Also, too, one might be on one side of the world, and the other one may be way apart, but they still go through the merge, and they still begin to do things the same and equally, and that's because the merging does take effect. So I'm not talking about being around each other and picking up on the way each other does things. That's very natural. But when it comes to twins, it's really a quantum thing where you may not even be around one another, and that's because of the merging process that is taking place. That's what actually transforms you and changes you. So it is quite different, and it is a very weird thing. Like I said, it's a phenomenon. Also, too, when it comes to the merging process, you guys, it's not just about merging, it's also integrating. So we are integrating our energies and merging at the same time. So what I've noticed with twins, and I've spoken to a lot of twins, is that generally one is the masculine, one's the feminine, but there is a little bit of both polarities in each twin. So both have feminine and masculine energies. And the more you merge and the more you integrate your soul essence, the more you begin to balance out, and you begin to embody your androgynous essence, who you are on the spirit level. You start to integrate that. So the twins began to have a balance where, the polarities are equal and balanced. You don't have a masculine overpowering the feminine, or a masculine overpowering the masculine energy, if that makes sense. They are both equal. This was one of my issues at the beginning of when I first encountered my twin is that although I am the feminine holder, I was using and accessing a lot of masculine energy in my union, and my twin was feeling that. So masculine on masculine, and that was a no-no, and that's what made him repel most of the time. And so I needed to balance myself out where I was equally, activating and using both my feminine and masculine energies when needed be. And oh my goodness, this is so much better. And that's what twins are going through as well. Integrating both energies equally and reaching a balance. That is the best. I mean, that's what you want in the ideal relationship, is to have a balance of both polarities integrated. So that is such an amazing process. But that's all I really have for today, you guys. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask in the comments, or let us know what you've experienced. I know you guys have been through a lot of stuff similar to this, if you are a twin flame. So it's really, really interesting. So let us know. Also too, if you would like a session or a coaching, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I am available. And other than that, hang in there. I love all of you. Until next time, bye everybody.